Guten Morgen, my fine fellow. I'm thinking it was the other day. I had watched a podcast of technically millennials, but spiritually boomer individuals talk about the new God of War game, Laufey. Sorry, I'm just noticing something on my audio. Sorry, they were talking about the new God of War game, Laufey. I kind of like the look of it, just to clarify my position. Maybe that's a strong take. I guess there was a lot of people ragging on it. I like the look of it. She's not a god or a goddess, if I remember correctly, or the God of War. So maybe give it a different name. But she looked kind of pretty in an interesting sort of way. But I have weird taste in women. Again, I like the look of it. I thought it looked cool as a game. Maybe you could give it a different name. Strong take. I don't know if this is strong. Again, I don't know if this is a strong take. Did people like the last God of War game? I did not. I hated it. I hated the way they ended it. I hated that they killed Brock, and that was a deliberate decision. I believe Cory Barlog sent some sort of... He was saying something to the effect that, quote, they needed to kill the family dog, unquote. It was a deliberate decision they made to fridge him somehow in order to... I'm assuming to motivate Atreus to not look into the mask or some crap like that. Yeah. And then they replaced him with a sassy bisexual female dwarf, who I liked as a character, but I hate the fact that they tried to replace Brock with her. They overplayed Freya's emancipation from Odin. I feel they could have dialed it back by about half, and it would have been appropriate. Liked her as a character. I think they overplayed that part of her. Also liked Thor and Thrud, both as characters. It was a great dynamic they had going on. They killed off Thor, and I'm pretty sure it had to do with the notion of giving Thrud the hammer, because she's a strong, independent woman. Again, I liked her as a character. I hate that they killed off Thor in order to empower her. I liked Freya's brother. I'm pretty sure they killed him. I don't know if he'll be back. Maybe some of this stuff is just like a cliffhanger that they're going to redeem with a future game or this game that they're making. I don't know. I like the talking sword. I don't know if that's going to be back. I also liked Sindri. They estranged him. I'm sure he'll be back after he learns to live, laugh, and love from his boyfriend or some crap. I feel like something they would pull. Point being, maybe I'm the crazy one here, but it does feel like there was kind of a motif in that game. Alright, but there is a larger point, beyond venting my spleen about that game. There's a larger point I want to make. It does feel like, in Hollywood, they've almost, like in Hollywood and in game devs and all of that, they've almost lost the ability to be innocuous when it comes to storytelling. And any deviation they make is hyper-analyzed. I would say not necessarily unwarranted. It's not necessarily an unwarranted skepticism that people have of those individuals. To my mind, like, it is... Yeah. So there's a verse in the Bible, right? Something to the effect that no man can serve two masters. I think that's what it is, right? Now, I tend to use it as an argument against bigamy, but the fact remains that I don't know if this is exactly what the verse means. It probably is something that maybe inspired me to think about this, though. People will probably, for the most part, see you as being either one thing or another. It's very hard for them to see you as equally two things. So if you're a storyteller and an activist, people will probably see you as either one or the other. You're a storyteller who happens to be an activist, or you're an activist who happens to be a storyteller. And in Hollywood, they've spent so much time trying to make the point and get you to understand what you're supposed to learn, that when these guys come up with a game, and there's even just a hair off, just half a degree off about the way they make it, about the changes that they make, the alterations they make to the source material, anything that's even slightly off in the minds of people sets off their alarms, and they're thinking, okay, what point are you trying to make? What are you trying to teach me? I won't learn the lesson, but what's the point I'm supposed to get here? Like, and again, I don't think it's entirely unwarranted. I feel like they've kind of earned their reputation for making poor story choices for the sake of social messaging. They're not dedicated to the logic, the internal logic of the story. They put shit in because it needs to be there in order for them to get their idea across. Anyways, that was fun. Anyways, moving on, we have some videos to watch today. And we're back. Seamless transition, because this is also about Hollywood. Well, I say Hollywood, I don't know. Is TikTok stardom, is that equivalent to Hollywood? Why Charli D'Amelio cut off her parents by Brett Cooper.
Well, the TikTok famous D'Amelio family is currently in the spotlight due to accusations that the parents, Mark and Heidi D'Amelio, were stealing money from their daughter, Charli. Now, Charli...
Sorry, I was actually surprised the first time I had heard that. So, no, it does feel a little bit... Like, I guess the question is, like, does this type of thing reflect to some extent on the character of the individual involved, or would all of us be as bad in that scenario? Because I do need to think, like, the question as to whether or not you would do a thing when you're a poor person has a lot to do with whether or not it's possible to do that thing. But when you get more money, the question becomes, should you? Should you do that thing? Not if you can do that thing, but should you? It becomes more of an, like, I think as a person who's comparatively impotent, you can afford to be a lot more ethical than moral. You can afford to allow society around you to govern what you're allowed to do and what you can do. Whereas, like, the more power you gain, like, the notion of power makes you more of what you are, but I think the more power you gain, the more you have to decide, okay, so now I can do this thing. Should I do this thing? You have to, like, derive moral codes that limit your action, if that makes sense. It doesn't do to just be an ethical individual anymore. You have to start becoming more moral, more self-motivated morality there, if that makes sense. So again, I don't know if I would like to think I would do better than that. Like, you wouldn't steal from your family, you wouldn't let your family be torn up by money, but I don't know.
Ties with her family and their businesses, and Mark is running defense, very intentionally trying to protect the family brand versus trying to just...
Of course he is.
...be a dad to his daughter, who is obviously very hurt and very angry. Now, I do not know, I have no
dastardly fiend.
Concrete information about whether money was actually stolen from Charli, but these two teenage girls, Charli and Dixie, being exploited is the least shocking thing.
So is she the one saying that? Is Charli D'Amelio the one saying that her father is stealing? Is that what's going on?
Of the century, and we all watched it happen. For those of you who were not renegading and making fluffy coffees back...
I was not. I'm proud to say I had more dignity than it. I heard about TikTok stuff from other people. I don't know if I really got into TikTok itself that much. Although I have gotten into, like, shorts, which is roughly equivalent. I try not to. For the sake of my mental and attention span and intellect, I prefer not to get into shorts, but, you know, I confess. I sometimes fail in that regard. I try not to doom scroll that much, though. So, you know, I'm not as bad as those people.
On TikTok in 2020, let me give you a rundown on the D'Amelio family. So Charli, the youngest daughter, she started her TikTok back in 2020 when she was just 15 years old. Now, over the first couple of weeks, maybe months of her account, she racked up millions of followers, was going viral. She went on to be the most followed and highest paid TikTok star coming.
Here's a question. What caused that old, like, vampire look that people would get in their eyes? And at some point that just kind of disappeared. I'm not sure exactly why. Like, what caused it in the first place, and what... Was it just, like, the flash or whatever would... Like, I don't know what exactly was doing that.
Out of COVID. Like, you might remember, you know, there was Charli, there was Addison Rae, but, like, Charli D'Amelio, she was that girl. And she was earning more than $10 million a year by 2021. Now, after she started blowing up thanks to all of her dance videos on TikTok, her older sister Dixie also made an account on TikTok. She became famous, and for most of their careers up until relatively recently, they were in pretty much every video together. They kind of became this package deal. Before they got famous, their dad, Mark, was working as a salesman. He was in marketing for clothing brands, and then their mom, Heidi, was pursuing modeling, and she was doing personal training. But as soon...
Forehead. Sorry. That's catty, but...
brands, and then their mom, Heidi, was
Yeah, I don't know. She's not like ugly per se, but she does have a rather prominent forehead. In that photo, especially, perhaps.
Pursuing modeling, and she was doing personal training. But as soon as the girls blew up on TikTok, Heidi redirected her career and she launched a YouTube channel that was purely
Oh, just like the Kardashians. Like I said, I don't know if it's exactly like the Kardashians. I don't keep up with the Kardashians. Ha ha ha. Sorry, but this does seem like there might be kind of an archetype of parents of famous child stars or whatever the crap being weird.
dedicated to being Charlie and Dixie's mom. Totally normal behavior. Now, around that time, they also packed up their things. Mark quit his job. They moved from their Connecticut suburb to Los Angeles into a
Like I don't know if it's necessarily something I would think is like terrible. Like online careers are viable, but also on some level, I think it would be better to retain one's normalcy if you just kind of went on about your life rather than, hey, let's uproot everything and jump into this with both feet. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like that. The whole notion is like part of why people probably like you is the type of down-to-earth lifestyle you lead, and that making you relatable on some level. There's a lot of intangibles involved with that. Whereas if you uproot yourself and put yourself in a completely, artificially in wealthy environment, a burgeoning economy of some faraway place or something like that, where there's all sorts of rich and famous people, you will become a different person, and consequently you might not be as appealing to those people you were initially appealing to. So, like, again, might just be best to keep on trucking with what you're doing and do that as well.
multi-million-dollar home as they launched the D'Amelio family brand. And at this point, things were moving really fast, and within a year of the girls starting their TikToks, the whole family signed to UTA, which is one of the biggest agencies out there. And in an interview, Heidi, the mom, said, quote, "These agents saw more than just two young girls posting on TikTok. They saw a full plan of our family and what could be, and they sort of painted that picture for us." So that's That's why they moved to LA. That is why they signed with this huge agency, not
LA sucks. It's the Gomorrah of America.
To direct
New York is the Babylon. Or Babel. Both work.
the careers of their young daughters who were dancing online, who were getting super famous. No, they
Yeah, sometimes you just want to close your eyes and wait for an earthquake. Sorry, that's a bit extreme, but it does feel like a lot of the crap that is in America comes out of that delightful place.
signed with the agency who said, "We're going to make your entire family famous." And so I'm saying all of this to show you that from the jump, it was not just about Charlie. It was not just about Charlie and her virality and her love of dance and wanting to share that to people. It was about the family and how the family could benefit from those hundreds of millions of followers. Anyway, moving on from there, this plan for the family started to take shape, and they went on to launch multiple brands. They started a popcorn line. They created a women's
Sorry, I glitched out there for a second.
daughters who were dancing online, who were getting super famous. No, they signed with the agency who said, "We're going to make your entire family famous."
There might have been some self-interest involved there.
And so I'm saying all of this to show you that from the jump, it was not just about Charlie. It was not just about Charlie and her virality and her love of dance and wanting to share that to people. It was about the family and how the family could benefit from those hundreds of millions of followers. Anyway, moving on from there.
Like, you can't really fault people, I guess, for being ambitious, but it does feel a little bit, like, ghoulish. I say ghoulish, that's probably the wrong word. It does feel a little bit like carrion crow behavior. Especially with regards to, like, your own children, to just be, like, to kind of crowbar yourself in and, no, I want to be a part of this too. Like,
this plan for the family started to take shape, and they went on to launch multiple brands. They started a popcorn line. They created a women's shoe line. They did 3 seasons of reality.
Those are terrible shoes. Well, I guess I don't know. Maybe women like them. They're fluffy. Uggs are the ugliest thing on earth, but for whatever reason, they still sell.
show with Hulu, and Charli's net worth alone ended up being more than $43 million. But that reality show that they did with Hulu, all about their family being a
Eat the rich.
TikTok family, could have been the worst decision.
Wait, what is it? Eat the super rich. The super ultra wealthy rich. That's really like there's a whole genre of millionaires that are very eager to crack down on the billionaires. As incongruous as that seems.
That they made because it pulled back the curtains on this family and what they were driving these girls to do. And so when Daily Mail posted an expose on the D'Amelios back in February, no one was really surprised. So the headline read, quote, "They treated her like a cash cow. Why TikTok star Charli D'Amelio has cut her parents and sister out of her life, as insiders tell Molly."
So wait. Her sister's also into this? Because I would have thought her sister's kind of whatever in her own right. They were both making the videos, right? Maybe she's just not as popular or something. I don't know.
Clayton, that's the writer, how she was, quote, aggressively sexualized and exploited by her family. And one part of the article
I could see it.
reads, they seem really...
Not like in a weird incestuous way. I'm saying, like, I could see them wanting her to do things in order to help with the brand or with the popularity crap.
Toxic, and they pushed her to work so much, one source tells me. Her parents treated her like a cash cow. This is a teenager who was taken advantage of for money by her already rich parents, leaving her aggressively sexualized and massively hated online for having the maturity of a teenager. And that, if you missed the whole COVID era TikTok, like rise of Charli, that was always a...
Well, I had never known she was hated. I guess everyone that's popular probably has their own category of hated, but I guess I don't know if that was that a thing? I didn't really know they existed, mostly. It's like a genre of TikTok stars that I don't know if I really know what they are or...
big deal in her life because she was this 15-year-old girl that accidentally blew up. She was a competitive dancer doing, jazz, ballet, that sort of thing. She was lip syncing to songs and making videos with her friends. She blew up like crazy. She started having this massive career and people would criticize her for being a teenager. And obviously you can argue that now if you are in the spotlight, if you have this big career, the standards are higher, you need to be a bit more mature. But the argument on the other side is that did she ever really want that? Maybe she just wanted to make videos with her friends and just be a 15, 16-year-old girl and not have this massive weight on her shoulders. Now, another quote in the article reads, ironically, they thought that the reality show was the right thing to do, but it showed a lot of issues that the families had, and their parents are extremely fame hungry, one insider tells me. They were constantly trying to force Charli to do things that she didn't want to do, simply because it would bring in more money and fame. They honestly seemed way more desperate for fame and attention than Charli ever was, and
yeah.
it was them trying to push the...
I'm not, again, I guess I don't know. I feel like people who have actual talent. Well, I don't know if she even has really talent, but I don't know.
Themselves as the next...
I know what I'm trying to say there.
Kardashians. And all of this is very ironic because now we're kind of seeing the second iteration of this with Alex Earle and her family's reality show. But the difference here is that Alex Earle drove her entire career. She was a college student. She started making videos kind of like Charli, accidentally blew up. Her sister then also got involved and was making videos, but her family, for the most part, stayed on the outside. Her dad, when she would ask for business advice, would step in, but he was not clamoring to be on camera. Her mom and her stepmom were not going like, let me into the TikTok. They were kind of these side characters. And as her brand has grown, as has theirs, interest and intrigue into her, blended family grew, then they created this reality show and it has felt really genuine because the star...
It's a case of it doing the right thing. There's a question like whether the exception disproves the rule in stars like that. I still would tend to think like, I don't know how well it would generally do writ large.
Star of the show has continued to be Alex, and she has been driving the entire thing, not the parents going, go do this, I don't care if you're tired, you have to do it because we are going to make money.
Yeah, I just feel like in general the notion of the parents getting like heavily involved in the fame and the fortune and all that crap is probably a bad idea. I don't know, it just feels like it wouldn't maybe tend to work well if they get into it a lot.
And because of that, kind of bringing this back to this quote about them being the next Kardashians, the D'Amelios now are falling out of relevancy. Like, this is the one thing that's keeping them relevant. And the Earls are being called the next Kardashians. So, food for thought there. Anyway, fast forward.
So apparently they weren't there long enough to make their mark because they're not being called the next D'Amelios. They're being called the next Kardashians. The Kardashians are still kind of a thing, right? Like they're not really as popular, but I think they kind of, I don't know if they would have their shows as much, but I think they have a lot of clothing brands and crap.
To last month, just a couple weeks ago, and a source leaked to Deuxmoi, and that is the big famous, Hollywood gossip site, that the rift in their family was allegedly, because Heidi and Mark were stealing money from Charlie. And this is what that post said. Sources allege that TikTok and Broadway star Charli D'Amelio discovered millions of dollars had been transferred out of accounts that were established during the years her career was managed by her parents. Insiders claim that the transfers allegedly occurred over an extended period and involved funds that were intended for Charli's savings. According to sources, Charli became aware of the situation after her parents were allegedly supposed to be removed from certain accounts. The matter
Wait, so this is according to Charli, but
occurred over an extended period and involved funds that were intended for Charli's savings. According to sources, Charli became aware of the situation after her parents were allegedly supposed to be removed from certain accounts. The matter is now reportedly in the hands of attorneys. Sources further allege that the dispute has caused a major rift within the family.
Well, she's not like insane like Britney Spears or whatever the crap, right? This isn't going to be another one of those things, is it?
With Charli's sister Dixie D'Amelio reportedly siding with their parents. All
okay. So that's why it happened.
Allegations remain unverified. Allegedly is what they're trying to say here. But that one post back in May blew the entire story open. Now, almost immediately, Mark D'Amelio, the father, the self-proclaimed CEO of the D'Amelio family, rushed in.
Yeah. That's what all confident men do. Give them a title. Give themselves a title.
To protect the brand. And he commented this. He said, "No one called me for an interview. This is not true. We love Charli, but she is being manipulated and I have the receipts. Over the last 6 years, we have remained silent and never addressed gossip, but the time has come to set the record
Stoic.
straight." Now, before we move on to his next comment, I just have to say, that could possibly be the funniest thing I have ever heard. Oh, he stayed silent. He wasn't addressing things. Like, sir!
Again, I don't know what was going on, sir. Maybe they were talking their heads off about crap.
You had your family star in a reality show. You were doing interviews constantly about being their dadager. You started a women...
Okay. Put him in jail. He said dadager. I hate people who create cutesy words. There was one I was hearing recently. Oh, don't know. Totes is one I hate. It's totally a jackass. For reals. That's also, that isn't even like a shortening. That's not a contraction. That's just a stupid phrase.
High heel shoe line and a popcorn brand with your daughters. It's weird, but sure, you're just in the background. You're just staying silent. Now, I personally am not going to stay silent about Angel's Studios.
Don't call me on that, because I'll probably be hypocritical on it at some point. But I just in general, I do hate the creation of cutesy words or whatever the crap.
And for America's 250th birthday, you need to know about their new film, Young Washington.
I thought she was gonna. I didn't think she was gonna shill it, but there was a whole kerfuffle over the whatchamacallit, Animal Farm movie. And for just FYI, I'm pretty sure Angel Studios didn't actually make that themselves, but they did produce it. It was made by Andy Serkis, who I think is or was a member of the Socialist Party, so, the perfect person to be making a critique of socialism in story form. Like, I guess in my mind, like, it's understandable that Hollywood would never want to represent Animal Farm as it was originally intended, because it was kind of a bit of a dark story. Like, that kind of whole genre of, like, fable. This is a scenario in which I would actually be okay with them trying to teach kids, ubiquitous, tales of morality, right? Well, I guess, I don't know. Maybe it is more niche. I don't know. I think it was kind of a critique of communism. So maybe that's a bit more niche, but it does feel like there were a lot of standard universal morals embedded in there, and the notion of, like, I feel like Disney these days, they don't have that in them. They don't have any sort of, like, scathing bone in their body. They can't deliver that type of old school fable vibe. They have, like, nice, happy messaging. Be kind or some crap like that. So, like, for them to actually do Animal Farm as it was originally intended, I could understand that not being a thing that they would be into. Just the modern animation, children's film in general wouldn't probably be into that, but still, it feels like they kind of, I didn't watch it, but by all accounts, they kind of butchered the original thing they had going on.
Washington. Now, Angel Studios and the Wonder Project, which is partnered with Amazon Prime, have joined forces to tell the story of George Washington before the presidency, when he was just a young man facing failure.
As a young lumberjack, I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
And war and near-death experiences that all shaped him into the man that we know and now revere. And what is so refreshing about Young Washington and what Angel Studios has done with it is that this is not a cynical or revisionist version of history. It is a bold, unapologetically American.
Here's a question. With regards to the whole presidency only being like, you only run twice, is that just like some sort of unspoken rule, or is that actually law? I would have thought that would have been a thing that you literally couldn't do, because people are getting all into a tizzy about Trump running for a fourth or for a third term. Like, I assume that that's not something that would, either just because it's so unusual, I don't know if it would really either work or should work or could work. Like, that's something we should look up sometime.
Story about courage and leadership and sacrifice and the forces that preserved Washington at a pivotal point in his history and in our history. And because this is America's 250th birthday, a brother who worked on this film, and I could not be more is about them and protecting them and their sure that you are getting your lowest rate, with some policy starting a quote response to all of this. Application times may vary, rates may vary. Anyway, ethos.com/Brett, quote at ethos.com/Brett. Again, that is ethos, ethos.com/Brett to redeem that offer. Application times may vary, rates may vary. Anyway, back to Mark D'Amelio and his response to all of this. He went on
stoic
in another comment and said, she has always had a team in place. Lawyers, business managers, manager, agent. We purposefully set it up that way. Not sure if you know anything about our family, but we were doing fine before TikTok. So essentially,
which is why they, well, like I said, it feels like he's acting like we didn't do this crap. Like, you chose, sire, you chose to uproot your entire family and move them to LA. Like, you can't act like this wasn't a big thing for you. You chose to quit your job. You chose to orient your entire life around this crap. And you're acting like it's just like, no, that it was no, we were doing fine before. Like, yeah, sure.
Saying we didn't need her money. We were doing fine. But the thing is, you might not have needed her money or the fame, but you certainly wanted it. And those are
that's perhaps true.
Two very different things. Now, from there, just a couple of days after, Mark decided to double down on a live stream, which was possibly the most defensive guilty live stream I have ever seen. And he said that everything he did as their dadager was so that they could have a better future, be set up for life, and he wanted to be clear that he did not make them do anything that they didn't want to do.
There's a point to be made where it feels like sometimes assertive personalities are not well paired with non-assertive personalities, where a person can think they're like, I don't know, there's a world in which I think a person could think they're suggesting a thing, but since they're an assertive person and the other person's incapable of standing up for themselves in that relationship, it's like, it's just perhaps unfortunate sometimes. But maybe that's not the case here. Maybe he literally just was forcing them to do things or actively coercing them in some regard. I would say with regards to anyone's parents, there's a degree of respect there that kind of makes it a little bit goofy with regards to the psychological dynamics. So I don't know, like, to what extent you would actually say that. To what extent you could actually say that, unless they're actually, like, out on their own and you still have a communication, but they don't live under your roof. They're not under your control.
The hard part is, like, you see opportunity that I never had as a kid, but I also saw the other dads. Like, you know, I heard about Michael Jackson's dad and these crazy dads that just push their kids. I never did that. I wanted them to
because Michael Jackson's dad was black. Racist.
Create businesses and things that gave them opportunity.
He never wanted to be like a black man.
Do whatever they wanted when down the road, and that was it. And if I'm a bad guy for setting my kids up for success.
Okay, is this how it's supposed to be? This is spelled backwards, right? It says Dixie.
And putting them in places where they can make a lot of money. I mean, we're living the dream. That's it.
We're living
Again, you're acting like we were doing fine, but we're living the dream.
the dream on the back of my, at the time, 15-year-old daughter. It shouldn't be about you.
Like, even that, just in and of itself, the fact that you quit your job and you are now, like, she knows this, presumably, that you guys are utterly dependent upon her as a source of income for this. It feels like, just on principle, that is a lot of pressure to put on a kid in general. Probably not a good idea in general. Again, like, you probably should have kept your job. So, like, this is something she could do if she wanted, but she knew she had other options, I guess.
This whole, deflecting the blame, sue me if I wanted them to make millions of dollars, that shouldn't matter. If she's making money in the moment, that's great. Put it in her savings. But you were obviously trying to increase that wealth, increase your wealth, and also your fame. And he brings up, celebrity dads like Michael.
All right. That's Charli D'Amelio. You can look up the rest of this if you want. Why Charli D'Amelio cut off her parents by Brett Cooper. All right. I should probably wait longer to do these videos. I also feel a little bit bad because the other day I used a Whitest Kids You Know sketch at the beginning of one of my videos. I feel bad enough that I probably will try to do better about, like, at least not using the whole sketch, but I pretty much used the whole sketch that time. So I'll have to bear that in mind. Try not to do it again. All right. The Price of Obsession Nobody Talks About by Zach Braff. This one I actually have not watched. The reason it's that way is because I do not have Rumble Premium. Because I'm poor as well as a skinflint. But also just maybe on principle. I don't know if I want to pay them any. I don't know. But if you watch it through part of the way, then you don't have to deal with advertisement, it seems like. In any case, let's get into this. Price of Obsession Nobody Talks About by Zach Braff. I think that's how they said, Braff. On Chris Williamson's channel, right?
As somebody that's basically a Philistine in a scene, maybe.
You're right. Let's try this.
2 or 3 theater shows in his entire life.
Yeah.
Of a career of being.
I like Philistine. I want to use that one more. You're a Philistine. It's like barbarian, but ethnically specific. Okay, so maybe someone correct me on this. I'm pretty sure a barbarian would have originated with the Italians and be used in reference to anyone who wasn't Italian. I could be wrong about that. I have to look. That's another thing. I have to look up the etymology of barbarian. That would be a cool one. I thought like the Goths and the Visigoths were people who were referred to as barbarians. The Celtics and Nordic people would also been like barbarians, pagans, or whatever the crap.
Being a spectator, and obviously a person who kind of understands the art form as well. What are the ones that stand out to you as, that was really, really special?
Well, I'll tell you, Les Miserables, which is probably a very common answer.
Never actually watched that one. Well, I looked up stuff about it, like in the plot and whatnot, but I never watched it itself. I liked the song Stars, or Beyond the Stars? I'm not for sure what it's called. It's a good song. Stars in your multitudes. Yeah.
Answer for people. I was like 13 years old, and I had never really been moved to tears by art before. I had never seen something as a young person so beautiful in my life. I was so moved by the music. I was so moved by the stagecraft. The story was thrilling. So that was a really seminal moment in my young life. My dad had been bringing me to see all the plays. I lived in North Jersey, so my dad would bring me in. It took 45 minutes, and he loved theater. He got me into it, so he would bring me to see all these plays. A lot of them were sillies. A lot would go over my head, but I loved it. And then Les Miserables was the first one where I was at the right age to feel emotion, to have tears streaming down my face. And that's when I was like, what is this? This art form is something that is so powerful. And so then I went.
Never actually watched a play or an opera. Well, here's the question. Well, what is the appeal of operas? Do the people who read them actually understand what's going on? Or are they just like Is it just the music? Is that what's going on? So I think there would be like, they'll probably give you pamphlets or something so you can kind of understand. But I think a lot of the operas, at least, are done in a different, like, Latin or some crap.
Went on to see like so many productions that both musicals and dramas and comedies where there was just so much joy for me in seeing it happen live and having it be different every single time.
Mm.
And the shared experience with people around.
That is something that is probably a little bit underrated in the art and the difference between like a movie and a play. That in a play, you are seeing different individuals all try to take on the role of blank character and blank role, and it'll be altered, at least to some extent, every single time you watch it. That's an interesting, intriguing notion. It might lend itself to rewatchability, actually. Huh. I thought of
You
that.
who are also swiping a tear or laughing. That's just something really magical. When it's great, it's just so fun.
What about when it's bad?
When it's bad, it's really bad, and I never leave at intermission just because I'm an actor myself, and I feel too bad to do that. Yeah, it can be horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I try, I do filter what I'm not going to see things totally
You're
blind.
not going in blind.
I don't go in totally blind. No, I'd be lying if I said I was just going to any random show.
And get his free reading list.
I definitely go to what I've heard my friends say. You got to check this out.
I've heard that you wanted to be a doctor at one point.
When I was in high school, there was a program.
It is kind of strange just the way, like, the course of a person's career goes, like what they become involved in. Is it because they want to get involved in it? Is it because necessity drives them to get involved in it? I know some people would probably have families that would force them to maybe take up a career they don't necessarily want because, their family is their passion to some extent. But it's nice to some extent if you can do the thing. And I feel like to some extent you also owe it to yourself and to society to do a thing that you're really passionate about. Like that's the thing you're going to be best at, right? That's the thing you can probably do the best thing for society for. But unfortunately, there's not always money in the thing you're passionate about. At least you could maybe try taking it up as a hobby or something like that. But
in my high school, with the town had a volunteer rescue squad. I guess that's just the way it works in some towns. In New Jersey, at least, I can only speak to that. Is that the town?
I think there is like a volunteer rescue type thing. We would have first responders around our place. A lot of the guys in our church are first responders. I say a lot of, a non-insignificant portion of the guys in our church, I think, are first responders for the like. But I'm not sure exactly how all that would work.
One has a volunteer rescue squad of people who are EMTs who donate their time, and there's an ambulance service. On serious calls, the paramedics come in a separate ambulance from the hospital.
Such completely, well, technically, not tangentially, only liminally related. Do you know that veterans have to have, I think, way more training than actual doctors? Because doctors are just dealing with basically like one animal, whereas veterans are dealing with like a myriad of different animals with different immune systems and different crap going on inside their bodies. So it feels like they would, like, it makes sense. I don't know if this is still the case. It makes intuitive sense that this would be the case, that veterinarians, dang it, that veterinarians would require far more training than doctors, actually. They have to know, actually, probably a lot more.
And they had a program for kids that were 17 and up to volunteer and get trained and go on calls. And I went on many calls with the ambulance service. And, you're mostly doing the grunt work. You're carrying gear. You're moving the...
Wait. Is this guy from Scrubs or something? I thought I'm thinking that's where he's from or something like that.
Stretchers, you're taking blood pressures. But it was thrilling. And I think there was a moment there where I thought, wow, what an exciting career path to be. And
also, I did not know he was an actor. Normally speaking, I mentioned this before, I don't like there are very few subjects which I would love to hear an actor speak on. And there's very few actors I would love to hear speak. Stephen Fry is one of them. Rowan Atkins is another. Probably, who's the dude from The British Office? What is his name? The guy who is angry and British at the Oscars. That guy.
Not that I could necessarily stand the education.
Okay.
Become a real doctor, ironically, but
It's not because he's a terrible person. It's not because I'm pretending to be ignorant. I literally it's just escaping my mind right now.
but maybe a paramedic or maybe something in the field, and then I just never really excelled at the classes that biology and chemistry and all the things that you need to be really great at. I just didn't have the interest or the skill.
The fun bits were fun.
It is interesting because you think you're not necessarily skillful at the thing you would want to be skillful at, and you might be really good at something you hate. It's kind of weird the way that works.
But the technical bits got in the way.
Adrenaline was fun, and coming to the rescue was fun, and I loved all that. I loved coming to the rescue. I loved
Ricky Gervais. Booyah!
The adrenaline of it, and feeling like you helped people, and you felt really good. Also, there was a volunteer aspect of it that I'm sorry that was an important part of it too. I felt great that I was doing all of this and volunteer.
That's something to it as well. I feel like more than just making money at what you're doing, I feel like the notion that what you're doing is actually something that's useful to society it's something that can't be bought, really. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on video before, but if you could just spend the rest of your life pulling the lever on a slot machine and make your money that way, I think a lot of people would say, no, I'm going to do that and I'll use the money to do something good. But I would prefer to have a job that I can make money at that is also a good in and of itself, rather than doing something useless that gets you money so that you can use that money to do something good. I prefer to have something that is actually of utility to society innately. Like it's innately good, like a good thing to do. And you can make money at it, hopefully. Or at least make a living of some sort.
In service, yes.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting? You get the 3 emergency services, right? You've got ambulance, fire, police. There's an issue going on. The ambulance turns up. Everybody's grateful. There's an issue going on. The fire service turns up.
Police turn up.
Everybody's grateful and turned on. The police turn up. People get a little bit suspicious. Unless you're the very person that needs it, everyone immediately gets on watch. And I always think...
I think some of it has to do with that the litigiousness of the law is not exactly the same thing as morality. And sometimes you can be what you consider to be a very good person, and you still get into trouble. So there's a degree of the law that has to do with just arbitrary rule keeping. It's not exactly, yeah, I don't know. It feels like because of that, people tend to be a little bit skittish around police, perhaps in general.
I just feel bad for police officers. They're doing a thing. They're still doing a service, and in many ways, they're in the line of fire. They're dealing with much more kinetic situations. I guess firefighters too, and also, I'm sure ambulances. But you think, fuck, like police officers are really, they're being shouted at, and there's all of this potential stuff, and they're looking over the shoulders. And
no, I think most people, if they think about it for half a second, they do appreciate what cops do. So, respect for anyone who's willing to put their life on the line for the sake of society writ large. Respect to those guys. But I do think there is a degree of arbitrariness to the enforcement of the law that is, it's not always as appreciated as it should be. Like, individually, it is not appreciated. As an aggregate, it's probably important that we do enforce the speed limits, that we do enforce these codes. It's important that there is a guardrail. The exact placement of the guardrail is perhaps arbitrary, but it's important that there is a guardrail. Again, there's that dynamic where on an individual level, you're afraid that, I don't know. I understand it in any case.
And no, that must be hard. It must be hard to be a police officer when you look at your fellow, of the 3 branches that you could have gone down in emergency services, like people sort of clap and applaud, and there's a lot more heroism around that. And the public perception, I think, of police officers has had a rough run over the last decade or so.
Absolutely. And there's a lot more nuance to that profession than fire and ambulance.
Stop fire, get cat out of tree, or keep person alive, as opposed to do one of like 50,000 million things here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a burglary, a home invasion on my street this week, and it's scary. I was certainly happy that they were there.
Home invasion, like a robbery while people are in there?
They broke in the house and held this woman and
Oh, so what's the one where it just involves breaking and entering? Because I feel like there was a different word when it comes to an invasion where they're actually there versus an invasion where they're not there. Larceny? Is that what it is? Burglary, larceny. Is burglary? Is that one where they're actually away as well? I'm not sure. Like, would it just be considered like robbery if the person's actually there? I'm not sure exactly how that works. So I'm assuming like larceny and burglary would involve not necessarily threatening someone, but you rob a bank.
Stole her jewelry and
I just need to get this straightened out for a project I'm working on. Completely unrelated. No.
We're in no rush to get out of there. It was scary.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Yeah. It's an interesting one thinking about what jobs you would do if you weren't doing what you did. I was thinking about this the other day. Have you ever, obviously, you maybe didn't.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the drink. New tonic. So I'm assuming this is supposed to be some sort of health thing going on, right? For your mind.
Have the chops to do the.
I didn't have the interest in school enough to get into medical school or the SC.
Just for the record, New Tonic is not sponsoring me. I was curious. It's got a weird eye on it too, in bright colors. And since I'm a 5-year-old, it's distracting.
T-scores or the grades you really have to love school.
That is something I would have heard. Like you have to I'm thinking it's something like 8 years of your life that you're dedicating to all that crap. Like depending on what you want to be, it's a huge investment of time.
I love design. I think I'm really into architecture and design, and I think that kind of overlaps with what I do as a director because you're hiring and collaborating with extremely talented craftspeople who are the best at what they do. And you're saying, I have this rough idea. Will you help me execute it? And then you put together this team of insanely talented, in the case of film, cinematographers and production designers and costume designers and actors. And everyone comes together and they help you execute. And to me,
like the music of the spheres. I have no idea if that's correct or not.
If I wasn't allowed to work in entertainment,
what is that? Is that an opera, or is it no? It's an orchestra. I think it's more of an orchestra thing. I think it's a song. Could be wrong. I'm not for sure about that. You have to look that up.
For some reason, that's something that really lights me up because I do love architecture and design.
Who's someone on a film set or on a production that makes a massive difference that most people from outside of the industry don't even consider?
The cinematographer, I think is
Is that the person who controls like lighting and tone?
Is the number one.
I could see that being the case because like if you're going for a certain look or a certain vibe in a movie, that type of thing with regards to the soundtrack, with regards to the tone of the film itself or the lighting, I feel like that could play a huge role.
One collaborative person the director has, that is his or her right hand person.
What's their role for people that don't understand?
For people that don't know, the way that everything is photographed, the lens choice, the way, just for example, this interview is being was lit by a talented cinematographer who chose where to put these 3 lights and what lenses he was going to put on the cameras and how in post-production it was going to be colored. So much of that makes a difference. I would imagine a lot of laymen think that that's all the director. The director is sort of the conductor of the orchestra. If the crew is the orchestra, the director's the conductor of the orchestra. And if the first violinist is, let's say, the most important person in the orchestra, I would say that's the cinematographer. And the director is there going, I can't play the violin like that. I can't play the bassoon like that. You guys are the best at what you do. My job is to go a little more of this, a little less of that. And yeah, the other position that I'm sure most people not in the business, I'm sure most people in the business don't know anything about is the first.
Just for the record, that feels like it was kind of a labored metaphor, but I don't know if I could come up with a better one, so it'll do.
AD, who is.
Sorry. All right.
I'm sure most people in the business don't know anything about is the first AD, who is the first assistant director who's running the whole set. In theater parlance, that's kind of like the stage manager, but the director is in charge of overseeing the creative aspects of what we're making, but someone is marshaling this oftentimes enormous crew and all the background and all the actors all around. And the head of that department is the first assistant director. And that's a very stressful job. They stereotypically die young because it's so stressful.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That's unfortunate.
Trading their lifespan for good productions.
They are.
Going into OT.
They always laugh about it. They're always like, we. They always laugh and go, we stereotypically die young. But it's a very stressful job. It's hard to.
Well, to be fair, there might be a certain type of person that would be into it as well. But man, that's unfortunate.
It's hard to do.
They're the people that make sure it doesn't go into overtime.
Yeah, they're managing how much time you have. So when you make a schedule we shoot Scrubs, for example, in 5
Yeah. Booyah, I was right. I'm awesome.
days. And so they're...
Hang on, how many episodes in 5 days?
We shoot 1 episode in 5 days.
Right.
And so they...
Always,
even back in the day, 5 days.
Wow, okay.
It's
So, I'm not for sure exactly when it changed, but I know back in the day, it feels like they were in a lot tighter time crunch back in the day when it came to producing episodes of TV. And somehow it shifted. I don't know if it was with COVID or whatever the crap, but they were like 24 episodes each year, and now they are lackadaisical to a maybe slothful extent about it. I don't know. Maybe it's just harder to produce it these days too. I don't know.
It's kind of crazy. The new streaming comedies have the ones that I direct have sort of moved to 6.5 days, which is a lot. Which you'd think only is a day and a half more, but it's a huge difference in terms of executing it in a relatively sane way.
Anyways, I found that interesting anyways, but it might have been more niche. You can check out this if you like Price of Obsession Nobody Talks About by Zach Braff from Scrubs, which I guessed. Me. Sorry. All right. We're going to try again to go through that campaign on Joan of Arc. It was being super irksome last time. I think it's because I tried to advance to the next age too quickly, maybe. I have to see. If I can do something. I don't know if you. Is there a way to get a siege workshop before any of that goes on? There we go. All right. We're good. All right. Joan of Arc. The Maid of Orleans.
March 26th, Chinon. It is one thing for a band of dispirited soldiers to put their trust in a teenage girl. It is entirely another for that girl to be given command of the army of an entire nation. We were filled with pride when we heard the Dauphin's heralds pronounce Joan the Maid as commander of the army of France. So that she may look like a general, the Dauphin presented Joan with a great war horse and a suit of white armor. Joan instructed me to look for an ancient sword buried beneath the altar of a local church. I was skeptical, but not only did the man unearth a rusted blade, but we found that the sword had belonged to Charlemagne, grandfather of France.
Charlemagne.
I shall not doubt
I don't know.
it again.
I think it's French.
Still
Tell me that's how to
visible on the
pronounce it.
hilt was the fleur de lis. Joan adopted the fleur de lis as her symbol and had it blazoned upon her battle standard. Wherever Joan goes, the standard goes also. It goes with us to Orléans. The city of Orléans is one of the finest in France, but it is under siege by our enemies. England and Burgundy is about to fall. This war has dragged on for 100 years, with precious few French victories. The people of Orléans need a savior. They will receive Joan of Arc.
Alright, scouts leaving for Orleans. Reinforcements. Supplies are waiting for an Blois. Across the river, leave the English siege of the city. The English have divided their army to surround it. To the north, the Northern English army red. To the south, the Southern English army orange. Use the siege equipment to destroy their castles. Burgundians camp to the east. They are not a real threat at first, but left alone, they will train a sizable infantry army. Burgundian camp to the east. So maybe that's what I should try to take care of first. Burgundians.
I am the Duke d'Alençon, milady. I will proudly ride with you to Orléans.
More stuff I was supposed to get in there? I don't think so.
Our city needs help. The English are coming.
The English are coming. Quick, hide your baguettes.
Bonne chance, John.
This Burgundian rebel shall not stop us.
Burgundian rebel. Sure, stop. What the? Is such a dingling? Croissant, croissant, croissant. I still think I should probably try to take care of those guys first.
Welcome to Blois, Joan of Arc. The army of France is yours to command.
Hey, you want, I think I'm gonna want to keep these. Oh no, the carts are supposed to go on. I forgot about that. They're the supplies. They don't look like they're full, but they are. Kuya. I don't know if that's what he's saying or not.
Now, on to Orléans. We need to get your supplies past the English.
Que fait?
If I remember correctly, there is a castle at some point in here. Maybe that was another one.
Cueilleur.
I'm Scheiße. Kill the bloody monk. You ding-a-ling.
Prêt. C'est fait. Cueilleur. Oh yeah. Prêt.
Oui.
Oh, shit. It's called predatory evangelism. Oh, I call it predatory evangelism.
Certes. L'hiver. Oh yeah.
I think.
L'hiver. Certes.
Okay,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
nope,
Leave
nope.
it.
Let's not. Let's say we did. Not right now.
Okay.
That would be the end of our little sally.
Prêt.
I think we're all good all the way up to Orly.
Qu'est fait?
Que fait?
Oui. Okay.
Okay. Alright. Huzzah.
Qu'est fait? Okay.
Good. Oh,
Prêt.
Bûcheron.
need wood first. Alright.
Jean the maid has come. We are saved.
Oh, we are sick.
Cueilleur. Certes.
Alright, let's just stick these guys in
Oh yeah. L'hiver.
various and sundry. It's not like they really do much good on the ground, anyways.
Oh yeah.
But,
Certes.
no.
Oh yeah. Cueilleur.
Where are the carts? That's where they're supposed to be, right? They're supposed to, what? Where am I supposed to put the carts?
Que fait?
Firax.
Yeah, lights.
Certes.
Alright. So. Why in the hell is it not accepting these cards? It's supposed to be like. Is Joan of Arc supposed to go there or some shit?
Voila! Jean of Arc
Oh.
has brought us supplies.
Wonderful.
Now we can muster
Wunderbar.
the forces we need to raise one of the Casses.
Cassel. Ja. Burgundy's camp to the east are not a real threat at first, but left alone, they will translate. Alright. Now. Let's go. take out this one to the south here, but it stands. This would be the easiest one to do, but I need siege equipment, preferably reusable siege equipment.
Café. Ohé. Hey.
Is there a siege workshop I can build? No, not yet. Alright. I might just bite the bullet.
Ohé.
Alright.
Bastisso.
Now, let's buy. $800. All right.
Ohé. Pastisseau.
Should do is there.
Café. Prêt.
I think the success or defeat involved will depend on this thing. I might actually send out a scout though to see which will be the easiest to get to, because that is going to be a big thing of this too.
Oil.
Okay, no. And I guess they all have actual walls around them. It's not just anyone's going to be in the open, probably. Nope, nope. They all have castles, yes. Alright. Now,
Hey.
siege workshop. Do we have a siege workshop? What the heck? Oh no, there we are. Alright, we're good. We're good.
Bastisso.
Alright. And
Keye.
a
Bastisso.
again, I think I want to try taking out this one first. I think it's all going to be down to this first little foray we've got going on here. We just have enough knights to protect the rams. Should be hunky dory.
Café. Keye. Bûcheron. Bûcheron. Bûcheron.
Café. Pastisseau.
Prêt. Berax.
Yeah. Alright.
Bastisso.
Prêt.
Let's get rams going.
Plastisort. J'ai fait Plastisort. Ok. Plastisort.
All right.
Ohé! Pastissant! Cueilleur?
Oui.
Artisan! 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 Bébé! Voyelle! Artisan! Vilain!
All right. Let's get
Certes! Nivet!
going. All right. Let's see if we can do this. See if we can do this.
Oh yeah!
Koyata.
Certes! Nivet! Oh yeah! Certes! À la bataille! Prêt! Que fait? Bonne joie! Azon! Prêt! Nivet! Certes! D'armes! Cueilleur! Nivet! Oh yeah! Certes! Oh yeah! D'armes! Nivet! Oh yeah! Certes! Nivet! À la bataille! Que fait? Oh yeah! Certes!
Prêt. Artisan.
Prêt! Nivet! Certes! Oh yeah!
Oui. Artisan. Oui.
Lament. For we have lost Joan.
Dang it all. Let's see what I can get. Honestly. I don't know. I'll have to see. I might just have to put the. Let's see if I can load a game there, though. Alright, there we go. Load game. Today is the 12th, right? Last. There we are. It's a nice jumping off point.
Café.
Now, let's see.
Ohé. Assistant.
So,
Qu'est-ce?
no, scheiße. There we go.
Assistant.
Prêt.
So,
Prêt. C'est. Assistant.
Ok. Bastisseur.
Prêt.
C'est fait. Prêt. Vilain. Ohé.
Bûcheron. Qu'est-ce? Que fait? L'hiver. Certes. Ohé.
so
Que y a? Oh yeah.
wait until those knights are
Que
past,
va,
I
ok?
guess.
Cueilleur. Que fait? Cueilleur.
Okay, shit. Get back inside. Get back inside. Stand.
Prêt.
Luckily, the last time they went up around.
Que fait?
Close with no cigar, jackass. Alright.
Que fait? Artisan.
Alright.
Cueilleur.
Why the hair?
Libère. Oe. Verax. Certes. Vera. Oye. Live. Oye.
Shit. No, we're good. You know what? Sorry about that.
Que fait? Oyel. Cueilleur. Boliré!
Swarms like flies.
Que fait? Prêt. Bonne joie.
Shit. Okay, well, let's do that.
Café. Quai, Pérax. Artisan.
See, I wonder if you could do a combination. You know, let's see here. It's not a 16.
Cueilleur. Que fait?
This is first. Oh, food. No, deuce.
Prêt. Fait.
Oui.
Straight out. What's woman?
Que fait? L'hiver. Certes. Fait.
Janina. Huh. So they can't go
Yeah.
inside. That's annoying.
Oh yeah.
Extremely annoying,
Fait.
I must say.
Que fait? Certes. Cueilleur. L'hiver. Certes. Oh yeah. Ouais. Bûcheron. Qu'un veuille. L'hiver. Oh yeah. Certes. Prêt. L'hiver. Certes. Assaut. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Certes. Qu'est l'hiver. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Certes. Oh yeah.
Scheiße.
L'hiver.
No.
Certes.
Bastard.
L'hiver, Olière. Cueilleur. Que fait? Cueilleur. Ferme, Olière. Ferme. L'hiver. Olière. L'hiver. Que fait? Ferme. Fait. Olière. Que fait? L'hiver. Ferme. Olière. L'hiver. Olière.
Libet.
Cueilleur. Que fait? L'hiver. Prêt. Certes.
Okay.
Oe. Oye.
Lament. For we have lost John.
Oh, so close. All right. Almost there. All right.
Certes. Oh, Libet.
The Duke d'Alençon has fallen in battle.
Pirax. Libet. Oil.
Lament.
Certes. Oil.
Wait a second. If I get under there too, can I just literally?
Libet. Pirax.
No, I do.
Certes.
They do. They don't have murder holes. Okay.
Libet.
The Duke d'Alençon has fallen in battle.
Okay. Well, that's illuminating. Let's try this one last time, but I think I'm just gonna have to redo it. What the shit?
Que fait?
It's a different one entirely. Alright. What the? Again?
Hey.
What the shit? Let's try that. Unless that's the one I have been trying. Nope. That's not it. Is this the one? There we go.
Libet. Oil. Libet.
Alright. Let's try. I don't think that's gonna work though. I think I got into too much of a bottleneck there of sorts.
The Duke d'Alençon has fallen in battle. Lament.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to restart.
For we have lost.
Hey, we're figuring it out, okay? Don't judge me. Thanks for watching in any case. And have a good weekend.